Welcome to Perspectives El Paso. I'm Professor Leon Blevins, Professor of Government at El Paso Community College. I want to open the program today by telling you a little story about 2005. During the fall of that year, I was asked by Lolo Mercado, a friend of mine, a counselor at Community College, if I would be on a program for the State Convention of Community College Counselors to be held here in El Paso. He asked if I would do a dance routine as Chico the mariachi dancer. And I said, certainly, I'd be glad to do that. And then he told me the main speaker for that evening's program would be Rosa Guerrerro. Oh, she is the godmother of Folklorica Ballet of El Paso, Texas. Well, I was a little frightened about that, but I did it anyway. So we were on the same dance program. Rosa presented the program before we did the dance about the inside of the person, of how we can find our inner peace that can come forth in exuberant joy. So today I have here Rosa Guerrerro, and my wife has told me when I have ladies on the show, I should not be wearing my hat. So Rosa, I take my hat off to you. Welcome to Perspectives El Paso.
Thank you so much, Dr. Blevins. It's a joy and an honor to be here with you. I love being here, and I love the El Paso Community College. I think it's done so much, and like you and I, we started for the community college at Logan Heights in those little barracks.
Back in the early 1970s.
Yes, that was yesterday.
Oh,
that was yesterday. And of course, I have seen it grown, and I'm so proud of all the branches and all the growth and all the kids that are taking advantage of this wonderful education.
Now, I've attended some of your workshops. I never took lessons from you, but I attended a number of your workshops at the Shamazal and other places here in town and at community college. And how is it that you got into dance? Tell me, who inspired you to get into dance?
Well, I think, first of all, I started dancing in my mother's womb. I know because my mother and my father were amateur ballroom dancers. And when you see all these dancers right now going around dancing, whatever, I know that I heard the tangos and the rumbas, the danzones, the polkas, the mazurkas, the wonderful paso dobles, the jitterbug swing boogie at the time. I heard it all. And when I was born, the music was already in me, I know. And the movements were in me. And so at about 2 or 3 years old, I was dancing with my father on his feet, and he was telling me, this is a tempo for the polka, get on my feet and feel it. And so, and then he would put me a Varsuvian, he would put a paso doble, he would put whatever music, and I would feel the music. The waltz is international. In all countries we have waltzes. So I got my first lessons from my father and my mother in my mother's womb, and God has been so good to me. He's been part of my life.
And then when you started to going to school, were there dances taking place there?
In elementary school, very little. But I started taking lessons when I was 6 with, it was called Aguilar's Dance Studio and Rosita's Dance Studio. And during the war, during Second World War, I was 7 years old when the war started, and I remember FDR talking about it on the radio because we didn't have television. And so as a part of entertainment, our Fort Bliss was the largest military installation in the world. And our soldiers were stationed here at Fort Bliss, and so we got to entertain them. And I was 7, 8 years old. I was already entertaining them, and I used to dress up like Carmen Miranda.
Oh, wow.
I was kind of ugly but cute.
Okay.
But I love dancing, and enthusiasm was part of my life. And you can fool people when you're enthusiastic. You can fool people with a smile. You can fool people with just being natural. And so I had more than that, more than technique, I had enthusiasm. And so we performed for our soldiers. So we were like the Mexican-American Bob Hope show. We performed with William Bowman. We performed for the USOs, for the Red Cross. And it was wonderful to raise the morale of our troops. And then I did that all through the Second World War, and then later on as a teacher. And as a student at El Paso High, we used to dance and perform for our soldiers, Korean War. And then Vietnam came along, and then I took my dancers from Austin High School. I had the modern dance group at Austin High School. A lot of people don't know that because they see me just as folklorico, but jazz, modern, tap, ballet, all of them have been foundations of my life. The folklorico came apart because my father taught me all of those dances, and then also I was taking regional and folk dancing. We didn't have the word coined folklorico until Amalia Hernandez from Mexico City put it together. Folk, meeting people, and lore, meaning the story of people. So it was folklorico. And so ours, we just call it Mexican regional dances or Mexican folk dances. And we had a man by the name of Pedro Doblado who taught at South El Paso free for years and years and years. And I remember them, and someday I hope a park or recreational facility will be dedicated in his honor because he opened the doors for folklorico for many of those people. But Aguilar's dance studio and Rosita's dance studio were the openings for me. And then I took dancing with Chimalpopoca, Angel Chimalpopoca in Juarez. And he was tremendously great in Spanish and Mexican folk dancing. But folk dancing has been part of my life. And my grandmother was Indian, and my mother, of course, is Indian, Chichimeca. And she used to sing and dance for us little jarabitos, which are little jigs, like little Mexican jigs, and sing to us when we were little. Didigi dongi 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 didigi dongi. And every grandmother in Mexico has a different jarabito. To the Mexican hat dance.
Makes me want to get up and dance.
Yes. But just like lullabies. Lullabies are part of the culture. So are jarabitos. And so I started all of that, the dancing, and it was part of my life. And in kindergarten, it was wonderful because I had a lady by the name of Miss French. I couldn't speak English. She couldn't speak Spanish. And I was crying because I didn't want to be in school and I didn't understand it. At that time, this is 1,000 years ago where I tell the kids I'm prehistoric. They used to punish us for speaking Spanish. But what this lady did was she put music. And music is universal. Dance is universal. And she wound it up the whole Victrola with the old 78s, and she put Stars and Stripes Forever. And she gave all the kindergarten children some sticks. Da, 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 da. We went around. I said, I love that. I love it. Because I used to hear, we had all the John Philip Sousa records at home. Everybody did. Everybody had all the different types of records because all you heard was the radio and records. There was no television. Right. It was just audio perception that we were developing. And it's still there. To this day, as a grandmother, I can still remember many of my songs, many of my dances, many of my lullabies because I developed that very early in life. And so Miss French was beautiful and instrumental. A week later, she puts on a paso doble called España Cañí. And here I get up. This is kindergarten. And I just started improvising out of nowhere. I didn't know how to speak English. I didn't know anything about dance and form and choreography. I just was improvising to that. And she put me in my first program for the graduation class of 1941, Vilas Elementary School.
I've done programs there.
Yes, there have you?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I flunked the first grade, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
I couldn't speak English.
That's right.
But I moved on to Moorhead School, and then I wasn't too involved with the dancing there. I was still timid, but I would dance outside the school curriculum. Not until I got into the 8th grade in high school, and then my freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year in modern dance. And I was my last 3 years, my sophomore, junior, and senior year, I was a dance director at El Paso High. And I developed the big hit. And dancers and musicians and all artists can do that. They think they're the world's greatest. Nobody's the world's greatest. Until you understand that the big hit can be like a balloon and deflate into nothingness. But that's because of lack of experience. At 17 or 18, you think you own the world. You think you know everything. And we were just immature embryos.
Now, I met you, I believe, in 1972 probably. We were at Logan Heights, and you came and started teaching some classes there.
Yes.
You were already teaching in the public schools, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What I did with, when I left Austin High School, I went to develop the intercultural programs with the schools from 1970 to 74, and it still went on after I left. And it was to create a cultural understanding, an atmosphere of respect for each other, of your differentness. It was like diversity, the word diversity now, right. But it was to bring in the arts and music together so that people will understand how beautiful we are. God made us so beautiful, black, white, and brown, chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, even a little bit of butter pecan and rocky road on the way. And that's what I told children. We're all beautiful. Our colors are beautiful. Our religions are beautiful. We have to respect each other. We're here in this world one time and one time only. Whether it's 20 years, 50 years, 100 years the Lord gives you, that's nothing compared to what the world is.
Oh, yes.
So what you do every day is what counts. So I brought music and dance to the schools, and I was working with 3,000 students per week. I can't imagine. I can't do that anymore. I can't do that because I'm a grandma and I'm over the hill and through the woods in age. But my spirit is still alive. God is in me, and my spirit is still very strong.
Now, in 1975 and 76, you and I served on the Bicentennial Commission for celebrating the American Declaration of Independence.
Right.
200th anniversary. And I remember you in that particular situation, and some of us pushing to get an amphitheater built, which is now there in McKelligan Canyon. Tell us a little bit about the work that you've done where you've been able to travel, because you haven't just performed here. Your group that you set up and trained so many people in Folklorica. Tell us some of the places you've traveled.
Well, myself, I've traveled all over the United States and Alaska as a consultant, dance consultant and educational, cultural advocate, et cetera, et cetera. With my Folklorica, we went to Tennessee, to the Department of Energy for Hispanic Month, to Chattanooga, to Knoxville, and they made me honorary citizen. We went to take them to San Antonio, to Austin. We took them. The greatest experience, I think, was taking them to the Kennedy Center in 1991 to perform there for the Texas Festival. Ann Richards was in charge of the Texas Festival, performing at the Kennedy Center and bringing in the symphonies, the ballets, the artists, the choirs from all over Texas, the food of all kinds, because Texas is such a big state. At each section, from the Panhandle all to the coastal, to the Cajun eastern part, to our Mexican American in San Antonio and in the Mexican food in El Paso. It was just a wonderful experience. But to dance over there in the forum outside and then inside the stage, it was magnificent. It was in '91. We broke all records. Everybody wanted to come in, and outside they even put a stage for us. We performed there two times outside on the stage. It was a beautiful festival, and we took the mariachi, Los Galleros. And I remember right in front of the Potomac River, when they were doing Jesucita en Chihuahua de Poca, tan, ta, ra, ra, la, la, I remember seeing the fish jumping up and down in the Potomac. I was so excited because I had studied the Potomac, and I'm a history buff, and I love history, and I said, I can't believe we're in Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States, dancing with my folklorico and the mariachi. I began the folklorico in El Paso with Burgess High School, first of all, 1970. They were the first folklorico in El Paso with a very, very minor type under the auspices of Ms. Ramirez and Ms. Gonzalez. They were the teachers that had the Spanish Honor Society. And I told him, I said, I'm going to teach them dancing and culture and folklore and history. And he says, oh, why don't you start a folklorico? So that was it, and I started that. And then the community college, I had the folklorico over there at Logan Heights with when you were teaching over there. And then I was too busy doing my own folklorico, the International Ballet Folklorico, that I asked Miss Sylvia Camañez to come and take over. I said, because in this world, we're here for such a short time. If we have a gift, we must give it to others. We have a talent, we must expose it and be beautiful to others, be role models with that talent, and open it to other people that have talent, and then give them a chance. And that's what we do as teachers. We build, we mold, we inspire, we cultivate a human being to do the best, and then they let them do the best and let them emulate the best of us, because we have faults and errors too.
So you were like a pebble in the pond, and it ripples outward. So some of the people that you taught and trained are now out there teaching and training others all over El Paso and other places.
Yes, I think it's wonderful. I hear my students, I just got a letter from Utah. I was in Utah about a month ago, and it was snowing, and it was beautiful, and I call it the M&M state. Many Mormons. But they treated me beautifully, and one of my students wrote me, and I just started crying, Mimi Paxson, and she said that in the class that I was lecturing, her daughter was in there. She says, Mom, we had a lady from El Paso. Her name is Rosa Guerrerro. She graduated from Austin High School in '63.
Oh, my word.
And she says, Ms. Guerrero, we're going to have a reunion. We'd love to see you. And when she told me your name, she says, you were the most inspirational teacher at Austin High School. Me and Ms. Sims, the art teacher. So see, the arts are very important.
Oh, yes.
Very important in a curriculum to really develop that child wholly, mind, body, and spirit. And the arts make you feel, and they make you heal.
Well, I remember that you were honored greatly here in El Paso with a school named after you. My daughter, Shalia Rose, went from Stanton Elementary School, I believe it is, to teach at Rosa Guerrerro when it opened. And I remember being there when you came for the dedication speech.
Yes.
How does it feel to have a school named
Oh
after
gosh,
you?
it's wonderful. It's been 15 years. This is the 15th anniversary of Rosa Guerrerro Elementary. And people, when I introduce myself and people don't know me, in El Paso, when they see me at La LBJ School, for example, that I went and lectured, the counselor says, "This is Rosa Guerrerro, and she's going to talk to you today about culture and history and blah, blah, blah." And this little girl looks at me, she says, "I thought you were dead." You know, they think I'm dead. They think I didn't exist. And I said, "No, I'm not. Thank God I'm alive. I can go to the kids and say, this is what you need to be doing. Loving yourself, loving your parents, respecting each other with all the respect that the Lord has given you. Just wonderful, down to earth, great body and mind and spirit, ideas, suggestions, motivations, anything that I want to inspire a child with. Because I'm an educator and I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, so those sources are just natural, they flow. But it's wonderful to be alive. I didn't have to be in the Alamo to kill anybody. Thank God I'm alive, and I can still give that message to people.
Well, I remember in 2005 when you did the workshop for us before we had the dance stage there, is that you were moving very slowly, and you talked about you'd had to slow down. And I've had to slow down because I have now arthritis.
Yes.
But we can still contribute
Yes.
and still teach others and from
Yes.
inside, as you were talking about.
Yes.
That's important. Anything else you'd like to share with our viewers here?
Oh,
Perspective. How have you seen El Paso change over these years that you've
Yes,
been
yes.
doing
I went to El Paso High School, graduated 55 years ago this May. I was just telling my husband yesterday, and I've seen it change. We only had 4 main high schools, and Isleta was the only one in the Isleta school districts. Socorro was just one little high school in the valley with Clint and San Eli and Tornillo. But El Paso High was El Paso, Austin, Boyd, Jefferson. Cathedral, it's always been there, and then Loreto, and Jesus and Mary was another Catholic girls' school. But I've seen it grow so much. We didn't have the freeway. We didn't have all the pollution. We didn't have all the problems. When you have a city building, there's good and bad that come with it, you know.
Sure, yes.
But I think that we have a beautiful city, and we need to capitalize on its beauty, on its mountains, on this wonderful, wonderful star on the mountain, on its landscape and the sun. The sun is such a beautiful gift from God, and we need to capitalize also on our wonderful harmony that we have with each other. We're a very beautiful city. We don't appreciate it. We don't appreciate our families too. Sometimes we don't appreciate with the ones we love. We take everything for granted. And I tell the audiences, and in the audience today, I'll tell you, love each other. This is I love you every day. Tell your kids I love you. You might not see them at night anymore, or you might not see them again. I love you. Please forgive me. Just to, if you really want to love, you must first learn to forgive. And those are Mother Teresa's words and my words and your words too, because I know that you're very spiritual inside. This was what you do. You teach with love, and when you teach with love, God is love.
Well, just today, we're in April of 2008. Just today in class, I was talking about the importance of the quality of life of a community. And Carlos Ramirez, who was our mayor for a number of years, and he was working to get the quality of life bond issue passed so that we could get new recreation centers built and modernize some of those that existed. And so now we have these locations all around El Paso where people are teaching. Guess what they're teaching? Dance and art and second languages and things like this to make El Paso a more attractive place for others to move here, but also a better place for us to live in. And so I think that's what you have contributed to the community of El Paso.
We all can contribute. We all have different talents. And I think to bring the economy and a better quality of life, we need the arts. We need the arts, visual and performing arts, because the arts are part of a community, just like a library. A library and the arts and books are demonstrated by the cultivation of a human being, which is very, very important from the Greek upbringing to now. And we need the kids to really read, to really get inspired, and we have too many distractions, a lot of negative distractions. That's the thing that hurts me. Children don't have the compassion that they used to. A child that is 5 is already 10. A 10-year-old is already 15, already with children and unwedded, and it's sad. And I tell the parents, especially the mothers, don't push your child so hard. Especially these little girls all with makeup already at 3, 4, 5 years old and trying to make them miss so-and-so and so-and-so. Let them be children, because children are the most beautiful things in the world.
What about other people that have made a difference in your life besides dance teachers? I know artists, you've associated with artists here in El Paso and the visual arts and things like this.
Yes, definitely. But I think one person that really brought in music was Ross Capshaw. He was my band director at El Paso High School, and I was the first Mexican-American drum major at 1952, 53, and I was so proud of that. And he was the inspiration of bringing in his wonderful daughter, Ida Stetman, and Kenny Capshaw, and the great musicians and all these artistry of competition of band. He was very instrumental in bringing our music and fine arts in El Paso. And to me, he's been one of my great friends and inspiring teachers. Dorothy Box, Dr. Dorothy Box in social studies at El Paso High. I had Miss Stamps, Marie Stamps, and I used to tell my father, es americana y habla el español mejor que nosotros. She's Anglo and she speaks Spanish better than us. My father says, because she has studied. You need to study. He says, you just know Spanish, just common Spanish. So I did. I minored in Spanish, and I love Spanish, and I love English, and I love all languages. And I think here in El Paso, we have to take the advantage and the opportunity of mastering English and enriching your second language, which is Spanish or German or whatever language it is, and really respecting it. And a person that's bilingual is like a dual computer. I don't think there's a day in my life here in El Paso that I have not used English and Spanish to better the world, whether it's prayer or culture.
Another thing you might want to comment on is the Chamazal Memorial Theater. I believe a man named Frank Smith was on that bicentennial commission with us, and for a long time headed that. That's added a lot, hasn't it? I remember I've seen you perform there so many times.
Yes, I did my film Tapestry there, and it won first place in the nation in 1974 when it was just first opening. And Mr. Smith, Frank Smith, was the director and superintendent, and it was nothing. There was nothing but desert. Nothing but sand and desert, a couple cactuses and all that, and it's beautiful. It's growing beautifully, and it's still one of the best places to perform. The acoustics are there, the sound system with the people there are beautiful, the lights, the atmosphere, and it lends, it's a very personal type of thing. You could feel the audience right with you when you perform. Big auditoriums are sometimes too big, you lose them.
Right.
You lose them. One time I had 10,000 kids at the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, and that was too many. I lost a lot. They were all in the round, and I lost a lot the ones that were behind me. I like to see my audiences in front. I like to see their faces. I like to see their joy, because like you, I like to perform with fun and joy, and not take myself too seriously, because I'm just a human being that has weaknesses, and I make a mistake, you know, in whatever, whether it's a language or a thought or a cognitive issue or whatever it is, and I'm always asking you know the audiences to participate or to really get what my message, what it's about.
Now I need to mention something else. You have changed careers a little bit. I've changed careers a little bit. This television show's been going a little over a year now. And as I've slowed down my dancing, I'm doing more television. I've seen you on billboards, and I see you on television. You're now a celebrity artist advertising for a hospital here in town. So someone approached you and said, Rosa, we want you on television to advertise for us.
I think the wonderful thing about it is that the CEO, Hank Hernandez, and Terry Wyatt, beautiful friends of mine, approached me, and they asked me to see if I could do some commercials and billboards and the media and all that, and I'm getting paid for it. I can't believe it. It's taken 73 years to get paid for it. When I've been doing things free since I was a little girl for this city and this community. We are a very poor community, you know, economic. Very rich, though, in spirit and rich in culture and history. I mean, our history is I mean, it's wonderful. I mean, going back even farther than Juan de Oñate with the Native Americans and indigenous. But I think Hank Hernandez and Las Palmas is part of my life now.
Doesn't it seem strange to see your picture up there on a billboard?
When I'm driving, I say, "Hi, that's me. That's me. Oh, that's me. That's me." My daughter-in-law would say, "That's you up there." "Oh, that is me. That is me." You know, it's. Oh, I'm very thrilled.
Goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yes. I'm thrilled because the school and all these wonderful people and I've been married come August 54 years to the same man, my beautiful husband Sergio, and my 3 children are grown, and I have 5 grandchildren, Heckle, Jekyll, Freckle, Peckle, and Weckle, I tell them, and I love my grandchildren. I love them, and they teach me. They're teaching me now.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's great to have you on this program. I'm fighting my allergies here in April of this year, as you can tell, but it's been a real desire. You have just been such a bubbly personality. Out of the year that we've had this show going, you're the most bubbly personality that we've had on this program. And
it's because I eat a lot of chile.
is that the reason for
No,
it?
my heritage is very strong. My mother's Indian heritage is so beautiful, so deep, so full of energy. And my father's heritage also, which is Mexican and Spanish in the combination. And I'm a hybrid mestizo Mexicana. Very proud to be who I am, a human being made from sugar and spice and everything nice.
Wow. A landmark lady of El Paso.
Thank you, Dr.
Rosa,
Rivers.
it is so wonderful to have
sir.
you on this show. This is a show we almost needed an hour for. Rosa, thanks for being with us.
God bless you. Thank you, sir.
And
Thank
God
you.
bless all of you out there.
God bless you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our spring 2008 El Paso Community College commencement exercises. Buenas tardes.